another great guest with us. Looking forward to a conversation with Annalisa Ponchia. Did I get it right?
You did.
The sustainability manager at AIM Group International. Welcome to Ljubljana Talks.
Thank you for living. It's a pleasure to be here.
So the first question will be, what is the current zeitgeist of the meetings industry based on what you've observed and experienced in 2024?
The meeting industry in 2024 is defined by a balance of transformation and resilience. There's a strong focus on sustainability, inclusivity, and technological leveraging to enhance the participant and the attendees' experience at the event. Post-pandemic is mature. Post-pandemic recovery is mature. But other challenges are, as you well know, just around the corner. So we can talk about climate crisis, social and geopolitical challenges and situation, economical pressure. So the meeting planners, the agencies are rethinking their approach. On the light of this transformation, it's more on the size of personalized event with a touch on the human behavior and try to embed some also regenerative activities.
Your agency, AIM Group, is pioneer of sustainability in Europe, I would say. You have ISO. You're doing so many things. Why this matters to your agency and yourself, Annalisa, so much?
AIM Group places sustainability process at the heart of meeting planning. It resonates with the DNA of the company. We always been judged as a customer-oriented company. The awareness grew very early, I would say.
Yeah.
And we are guided. I'm glad you mentioned it. We are guided by the requirement and the process ISO 20121, which we place, of course, at the inception of every event and try to plan according to that. But we don't consider that like a badge of honor. It's rather they are rather the principle that are creating a framework for us, structuring the company, structuring the operational teams, the company and the operation, the approach to clients, the approach to event design. That's why we originate.
Do you see a difference between corporate clients, corporate markets and associations? Since I know that you have both, you have many associations under your head, but also a lot of you're organizing a lot of corporate events. A difference?
There is a difference in the terms of what are the client requirements. Okay. Well, we are approaching CSRD, and of course, large corporations had already to adapt, not only adapt, but obviously to include that in their financial report. So the requirements and the necessity that comes from clients are different. Associations are not required to yet replace, and they are approaching sustainability more from the reputational perspective. They want to be up to the standard, while corporate clients, for them, is a necessity. So as a third party, we are required to be compliant.
As a sustainability manager at our group, as Gora said, you deal with many corporations and associations. How often do you come across attempts, it can be deliberate or indeliberate, accidental, of greenwashing?
Rather than the client point of view, I see that much more, unfortunately, coming from our industry.
Okay.
In the sense that not so many organizations or enterprises are prepared in terms of what really sustainability means, which is a transparent process and which has to demonstrate how accountable you are. So if you don't live up to this principle and standard, is already greenwashing. Every claim which is not substantiated by, in fact, numbers and clear activities, clear implementation in your processes, is by default greenwashing. So, as I say, a lot of people from our sector are tempted to fall into this kind of mistake.
I would say the key word you said there is accountability.
Yes.
There is perhaps a lack of accountability in the industry, wouldn't you say?
No, what I'm saying is, I mean, we are still accountable for many other good reasons.
Okay. No,
and
I mean,
services we provide.
some people in the industry might get away with it. That's what I'm trying to say.
They might get away, which is different, of course. I mean, as I say, there are many well-prepared professional and agencies which are accountable for the services they provide. I was specifically talking about sustainability. And simply because I think there is not enough, or yet enough knowledge about what sustainability is and how you can implement that in your processes. So you're trying your best, trying to show. And there is a lot of talking, and I think it's time to walk the talk in our industry.
Definitely agree. So I believe that the next problem is also that we need to look beyond the footprint. So this brings the reason why we exist, actually. So we also need to learn how to measure the regenerative effects. So do you have any experience with that, or how do you see this part of the story? So carbon footprint on one side, and then on the other side, two things we are doing, but we do not know how to measure that. But if you balance those two things, the magic will happen. I think so.
I'm glad to hear about these questions, and I tell you why. Because everybody's talking about net zero.
Yeah.
Will the event industry ever be net zero? It's almost impossible.
Yeah.
We know, right? Yeah. So we have to find the right balance between reducing the emission and leveraging the positive impact. And there you go with, I mean, now I would say the temporary solution is carbon offsetting, but we know that's not, and it cannot be a strategy. For me, so what resonates much better with my mindset is in fact regenerative, which imply including social, economical, beneficial impact in the community where you operate. And it can be exactly the location of the event, but it can be somewhere else.
Exactly.
So that what, for me, is more valuable. Imagine life science events. They, by default, can bring so much of regenerative effect in any location, any place where they go. Any medical specialty can do advocacy, can do advertisement for, best medical healthy practices, and so on and so on.
Annalisa, what can you say about differences between countries? All over the world, I would say, but is there a difference between North and South or whatsoever? Do you see any sample in regards of sustainability?
Well, obviously, we know there are much more aware of sustainability practices. For some reason, north of Europe, let's say Europe, because of course around the globe there are different, even legislation, so to say. It looks like Northern Europe are more prepared, and perhaps because they are a country more close to what Mother Nature has to offer. But Mother Nature has to offer a lot in different countries, I would say. Is perhaps their mindset and the attitude. But I live in Italy, for instance, and it's certainly a country which is not behind others. I mean, we consider ourselves south of Europe, of course, and it's not certainly behind many other countries. The differences are perhaps more in the mentality of the people and their awareness of the climate crisis changes.
We had Guy Bigwood today here, and we were talking about exactly this. Why the north of Europe is so progressive in this, and why some destinations in the south are less. But I think a key question was, at the moment, Europe is the leading kind of destination. But do you see it being a leader in a couple of years?
still being the leader in a couple of years. I think there are many other destinations that are getting up to incredible stuff.
Yeah.
If you walk around, we're here, right? So I think there's a big market about destination, I would say, rather than convention center or the proper-mice industries. And some of them are making incredible effort, I have to say. I was really noticing this. Asia, I would say, is going to be pretty much up to the standards very soon, very soon. It goes together with the way Asia is innovating a number of things. I mean, we used to consider Europe the most innovating region, but we have to watch these people because
we said this several times. Automotive is a great example, where we were sure that we were the best.
Exactly.
Forever, I think so. But now it's a different situation. Coming back to the events itself, we all know that it's not a big deal to calculate the scope 1 and scope 2. You are doing that also on the level of your company. But when we are coming to a scope 3, we deal with so many suppliers. How to actually convince them? Do you have any idea? What should we do, to be more cooperative? Okay, we can put this into the contract, but still, I mean, it's better to have other techniques so that everybody will report correctly and in line with the protocol we are following, which is GHG protocol.
We know that is going to be the big challenge because at the AIM group, for instance, we have been through the exercise a few years of compiling our sustainability report, as we say. So a few years in advance, already in 2024 for 2023, and it was with scope 1 and 2 only. But that put us in perspective of what is needed to be and really to measure scope 3. That's why we study a sort of a framework that starts from procurement. So any supply is going to be mapped out, and in that respect we are creating a database which is resonating in terms of procurement, contract, administration, operation team. So we are guiding the operation team through this funnel. So first of all is a way to be more concrete, more robust in the process, and not leave the responsibility to the planner or to the leaders, so to say. So it comes from people who are experts in procurement first and then throughout the process. The suppliers, again, I think you go through preferred partners, so at least you are dealing as much as you can with the same company, and it's kind of a joke because I'm telling you we're trying to map, and we say the minimum we are dealing with is 8,000 for all our offices. So we say, okay, is that our selected number? Imagine what you have to go through. But they're getting the pressure not only from AIM group, they're getting the pressure from all the other organizations, so sooner or after. Problem is that this small company, they don't have the same necessity to report for the scope and the requirement of the CCRD. So they have to find an incentive. So maybe we have to find incentive.
That's true. What about your clients, like association clients? The merch is always a big deal, but they still do not believe in sustainability. This is so visible, and then we are buying things from China, traveling through the sea, Well,
maybe they are sustainable, who knows, but it's only about exporting them, importing them from China.
But this is a kind of, the most typical example of what we are doing. But coming back to your sustainable report, which is amazing, by the way, can you share some data? I mean, some amazing things you figure out of these reports, and share this with the audience.
Let's be clear. This is important, it's true, because as I say, we measure scope 1 and 2. So it was pretty much introspective in the company. Okay, so it was a good excuse to look at our operation, at the way and what we are. Scope 3 will come, and then we will measure the impact at large. Okay. everybody think, people tend to think ESG, environment, but social and governance, what really emerged from the report. Where companies like ours are leading on their employees, on their staff, on our human resources. We deliver services not because we are producing automobiles, in fact. We are delivering services that are delivered by human beings. So 80% of the report was based on our, it's not only findings, but numbers about our people. Actually, we have a very nice thing. It's an intranet website which is called AIM People. AIM People define also how the company think about its human resources. So we put a lot of focus on training, for instance, and we found out that we were delivering so much training, more than expected, because sometimes we come like 20 people at fairs. We go to conferences from MICA to PCMA, and it's hours and hours, and then very much specific training on IT, GDPR, sustainability, and so on. So, in fact, we put a lot of focus on the human resources and, of course, the governance. That was what really emerged.
It's a very, very fascinating debate. I think we could go quite a little bit deeper into all this, but unfortunately we are coming out towards the end of Ljubljana Talks. So usually in the wrap up we have a couple of short rapid fire questions. So
okay. Ready for that?
We shoot a question and then you can answer it very quickly or you can develop your thoughts. Let me start with apple or pineapple?
Pineapple. No question.
Red or white?
White.
White. Okay. Coming from Italy, that part.
The red is think about a good Chianti. Come on.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
But
cool.
white.